it's Veterans Day today, and you remember that it was you and Houston that got very upset when we found out that we were not allowed to pray at the Houston Veterans National Cemetery.
Those nitwits at the VA wanted veterans to intercept the widow as she is sobbing, being taken out of a limousine, and say, by the way, excuse me, ma'am, do you want the ritual being done? Now, remember, this has the word God in there 5 times.
That was Congressman Culberson and I discussing what was going on there. Meet Arlene Ocasio, who looks like Janet Napolitano's twin sister. It's the most bizarre thing I've ever seen. Is still employed there. And the question that I have is, why in the world would she still be there?
Quite frankly, I think it would be much better for her, maybe, but I think that's not our major concern. We have these rules in place now, and like every other cemetery director, she is now bound by those rules.
That's John Spahr. He's the state commander of the Texas VFW, and he joins me right now. John, welcome to Houston's Morning News, sir, and happy Veterans Day.
Well, thank you very much, sir. I appreciate that.
All right, John, I just heard you say that now you would like to have Arlene Ocasio out of there, right?
Well, I think that would be the ultimate goal. But at the same time, as I mentioned, there are safeguards in place now to prevent her or any other VA cemetery director from doing what they did before.
But listen, John, just between you and I know you're speaking politically correct. I can appreciate that. I can appreciate it. But let's be honest. This woman obviously had some kind of an agenda. Either she was told to have this agenda or she has a personal agenda where she doesn't want the word God used at the Houston National Cemetery. I think she's got to go.
Well, I've looked at this obviously long and hard, and I think that in some respects it may not have been all her fault. I think she may have been acting in response to a directive that was received from higher up. Which mentioned that evil word inclusive. And it sounds like it may have been her interpretation of that word. However, I was somewhat disappointed that the VA, after seeing what was going on down there, didn't come down and give her some guidance on that.
Yeah. John, just for a moment, does she not look like Janet Napolitano's twin sister?
I've only seen the lady twice, and I, I'll be honest with you. In many respects, I sympathize with her. Apparently some idiot put her home address on the internet, and she was receiving death threats and all that, and that's totally uncalled for. But I think she was acting as she saw fit, and obviously we didn't see the same goal.
All right. I'll talk to Congressman Culberson. We'll get her defunded and get her out of there.
Right.
If you would hang on for me, you got a couple of minutes? Hang on for me. Let's talk about something far more important than me and Arlene. Let's talk about our veterans here in Texas. Can we do that?
Of course.
All right. Hang on, and we'll get back to John Spahr, who's the state commander of the Texas VFW on this Veterans Day. Who better to talk to?
The conversation continues on Houston's Morning News with Matt Patrick.
KTRH News Time is 8:23. John Spahr, who's the state commander of Texas VFW, is joining me. John, thank you again for taking the time this morning. I know you're probably busy. Hey,
my pleasure.
John, let me read something to you. I got an email here from a gentleman who has served this country, and his family has served this country. The signature on his email reads this way. I read it earlier. I want to read it to you. It says, a veteran, whether honorably discharged, active duty, retired, National Guard, or Reserve, is somebody who at one point in his or her life wrote a blank check made payable to the United States of America for an amount up to and including my life. Isn't that incredible?
It is, and it's true. Anytime anyone raises their hand and takes that oath of allegiance to our nation, obviously they have no idea what's in store for them, where they'll be deployed, where they'll be stationed, and what they'll have to do when they're there. Sadly, I had a number of friends that never came home alive, and they paid that. They wrote that ultimate check. There are fortunately millions of us that came back, and Veterans Day and Memorial Day, that's where we pledge that those people, those comrades of ours that came back, will never be forgotten.
John, what's interesting is I have spent all morning, and I've been looking forward to this day, talking about our veterans. I think it is something that, first of all, I love doing. But I'm surprised at how many people are saying, thank you for talking about it. Other radio stations might not spend as much time. Other people wouldn't spend as much time. As a matter of fact, that's one of the questions we have on our poll on our Facebook page, is whether or not we're just paying lip service to our veterans or whether we really do appreciate their service. I can't think of no other human being that I need to make sure that I say thank you to than the people that are protecting my liberties.
Calvin Coolidge one time said, "The nation that forgets its defenders will itself be forgotten." And I think that's the gist, that's the entire meaning behind Veterans Day, that this is an opportunity for all Americans to sit back and reflect for a while on the sacrifices that have been made for their benefit.
Indeed.
If things had turned out different, we wouldn't be talking right now.
You're right, John.
Or if we were, our speech would be censored.
Or we'd be speaking a different language.
Exactly.
John, I thank you for everything. Thank you for your service, and please
my pleasure.
Pass along our thanks to all the veterans. John Spahr, State Commander of the Texas VFW, joining us here this morning. Good man.